Hi, everybody. Dhaman Mehta here, and welcome back to my journey as I go through my favorites list on fanfiction.net. Got 7 more stories for you, so let's just dive into them, starting with Their Dad by Right for Life. This is an Avengers fic that takes place in the MCU, which is basically just a small bit of fluff that could have been, which was written back when we didn't know the full story of how the relationship dynamics of the Avengers would work, and how like the dad, the six people are kind of a family at that time. Now they've become a family, and family needs a dad, and this one picks out with Bruce as the dad. It's nice bit sugary sweet fun. That's just a fun time. Great read to pick up, give you a pick up and make you feel a little bit better. I really did enjoy this. It's going to stay on my list. Moving on now is Between Worlds by Vohira. And this is a Harry Potter crossover with My Little Pony, where Harry, goes to the Room of Requirement to try and train to fight Voldemort and ends up in Equestria long before the events of the show start. This is, again, I feel like I have to say this. I don't watch it. This is the My Little Pony show that started in 2010. Again, I'm still doing stories, not the current show going on, so that's there, but that's not a big deal. Yeah. So basically, he ends up there and he starts building a new life and goes stuff, and then we find out bits that he's actually going to end up growing into one of the antagonists from the show, or he would have if the story had ever continued. We still get some decent chunks of his backstory, but the last chapter ends with him being shipped off to the Crystal Empire, which is basically the equivalent of watching the movie Joker, but it's stopping right as he starts to kill people. Or right before he starts to kill people, actually. If the movie Joker had stopped before that subway scene where he shoots the investment bankers, it just becomes an anticlimax, and while somewhat interesting, there's not really any value in revisiting this, so it's gonna fall off my list. The third story for this video is An Intervention by Right for Life, and again, this is another Hulk-centric Avengers fic, and it's another fluffy tale, a little bit of fluff from here, where Bruce and the Hulk are once again placed in a paternal role to the rest of the Avengers, and it's just as entertaining as the first one, though a little bit less cavity-inducing in the sweetness, but still same as the first, where it's really just enjoyable, fun, and again, come back to it if you want just a good wholesome feeling to make your mood a little bit better. It's gonna stay on my list. Number 4 is One Punch Hero by Sir Godot. This is essentially a Fate Stay Night and One Punch Man crossover, where Shiro, as a kid, wants to help people, so he's gonna obviously train to be a better hero, and he goes to One Punch Man workout, and then he gets that strength, and then it jumps to basically right at the start of Fate Stay Night. And so the story has 2 one-shots. It's 2 chapters, but it's really 2 one-shots. One takes place where Shiro is, he did that training, and then he's there, and now he becomes part of the war as himself. And then the second one is after that stuff, where now he gets summoned as a servant in the Grail War. Both of them are super entertaining bits, pure ridiculousness, it's basically the One Punch Man series, but with only One Punch Man fights. It's as if the anime series of One Punch Man, but if we cut out all the other characters and you only had the seeds where One Punch Man actually fights with people, and that's all it was. And it's just really funny. I found it hilarious, and I think anybody else who enjoys One Punch Man at all will like this too. It's gonna stay on my list. Next is The Knight of Mahora Academy by Master Athlon. This is a Naruto crossover with Negima, where Naruto as a kid ends up transported to Mundus Magica, or whatever the Nagima Magic World is called, and raised by Alaruba, Negi's dad, Nagi, and all of them when he's a kid. And then the QB also gets pulled out of his stomach as a separate, and Demon is like, now becomes a small fox with a bunch of power, and they just get raised together as like Naruto's familiar. Later on, he then comes to, he grows up and then comes to Mahora to act as Neji's assistant teacher and joins in on all the madness that, Class 2A brings. So basically, this story is the base concept is Nagima plus two, the base plot of Nagima plus two extra characters, Naruto and Kyuubi, but it's certainly enjoyable enough for anyone who wants Naruto flavored like magic stuff. There's a lot less ninja stuff since Naruto was taken as a kid, so he didn't know any like ninja tricks before he got there, and he was raised then afterwards as like a pure mage. So that's there, but we do get some plot points indicating they might have eventually gone back. They might eventually go back to Konoha, and QB is certainly entertaining enough in his own way that it makes it worth it that he's his own character and makes it worth bringing Naruto here and not just having like, oh, there was a different mage who was just there as a thing without the QB. I will say like it hasn't gone to that point yet. It did plot wise, like it did get past the monolith for Nagima fix, which is the Kyoto arc, so progress is there. And hell, it just got updated in October, so like even after 9 years ish, this thing's still getting updates. So maybe we will see eventually when they go in. Still, if you enjoy Nagima and the craziness there, and you want some extra cogs thrown into the works to see some more fun, you won't be disappointed. I certainly wasn't, and it's gonna stay on my list. Now going back to the Harry Potter well, we have Hedwig by A.O. Luna, and this is a very, very short character piece about everyone's favorite owl that takes place mainly before she ended up with her boy. It's mildly entertaining, and I do feel that you should read this if you like Hedwig at all. But at the same time, it's not something that I feel you ever need to read a second time. And the main thing that's always been for why I keep things on my list or not is if I see value in coming back to this. And this one is not a thing where I do recommend, but I don't see value in me wanting to come back to this, so it's going to fall off my list. And the last story for this video is another Harry Potter story, Don't Say His Name by Rebonac7. This is a version of the Harry's underage magic trial in Order of the Phoenix that revolves solely on one joke that gets beaten into the ground. Nothing you need to read more than once, and honestly, I don't even think you need to read this once, but it's a joke fic that's not horrible. It's just okay. So yeah, it's that. It's not going to stay on my list. And that's it for this video. Fanfiction status time. I've now read 944 stories, and 444 of them have stayed on my list. So hey, and even 500 cuts we've hit that milestone. Yeah, thank you for watching this. And not as always, I will leave links to stories, all the stories in the description, as well as links to playlists for all of my videos for the series, a forum where I also post these in written form, and as well as a link to my fanfiction.net profile if you want to see what things are still on my list or what stories I'll cover in the future. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.